It's a great idea, but the US has stupid bitches like Tori who are willing to spend years pumping themselves up and still act like bimbos. Look at gladiators, all our butch women are just that. Butch. Mr. Hawkins, we've realized the problem, and if you're still willing to back us, we've thought of a solution. You can't take a page 3 girl and fill her full of steroids. It'd still take a good 1.5 to 2 years before she looked the part. We know. We've got something else in mind. The ad wanted good-looking men for an action film. I talked to the agency and they fixed me up an audition. They stressed that even if I was ultimately unsuccessful, I would have to undergo a fitness test and medical. I agreed and signed a waiver. The audition was a few simple questions, lots of photographs, and the medical itself. It consisted mainly of strength tests and measurements: biceps, chest, waist, and thighs. A few days later I got a call back. I was so excited I took my girlfriend out for dinner, even though we were penniless. At the callback there were only 3 other guys. We all looked similar. A small range of heights, but all under 5'10". All fit but not bodybuilder big. One guy looked skinny. All good looking, though 2 of them looked slightly girlish with their long hair. Here's the deal, guys, said the interviewer, the director, coming out of his office. We have secured some of the budget financing, but not all. We're not shooting until we have it all. So, in the meantime, we'll keep you all on retainer, provided you train for the roles with us. We all smiled. Retainer for no work, no problem. Kevin Taylor? I stood. Jason Wright? The other short-haired guy stood. We really need long hair. Take these pills 4 times a day. It's Tress, it increases hair growth. If we start shooting tomorrow and we pick you, we'll use extensions, but we'd prefer you get used to it. With that he walked back into his office. The trainer called us all the next day. We weren't all locals, so we were being rehoused on location, in a warehouse in Greenwich. It was a closed set, so I packed a suitcase and said my goodbyes for the duration. I guessed I would be out weekends. I guessed wrong. Apparently the film was based on government-sensitive material and was being timed to coincide with its public release. We signed a secrets document and resigned ourselves to the fact that we could be here a while. Everything was provided though, so the money would just be piling up. We bonded over the next couple of days. As well as Jason, there was Mike and Bluey, so called because of his piercing eyes. Catherine was our physical trainer. We found that we were all proficient martial artists. Catherine was too, but taught us mostly wrestling, including all the throws, locks and falls. Tracy was our dialogue coach. She had some script examples, and we all needed to change our delivery radically. And Ipo was our medic. Jack, the director, introduced him on the first day. We have to give you all some shots as we need a particular body shape and we need it quickly. If you've got any moral problems with the use of drugs in physical development, then I suggest you leave now. No one turned away. We all got injections in the legs, arse chest, and a pack full of supplements with instructions. We all signed waivers for the treatment and against any side effects or injury during training. Catherine concentrated on low weights, high reps when weight training, for spot fat reduction and definition. With a high-protein, low-fat diet, the pounds began to slide off. Terry was introduced to us after a week. The role calls for something a little out of the ordinary, explained Jack. The heroes are required to pose as women. For dramatic effect, we've put the scene right at the start of the film, and we'd like to carry it off so convincingly that the audience really believes you are women. We have body doubles, but some of the shots will pan in from whole body to face, so you will need to know exactly what you are doing. With that, Terry was slotted into our growing daily schedule, along with her large wardrobe and vast repertoire of feminine gestures and actions. "How's it going?" Jack asked Brandon, up in the control room. We figure the subliminals are working as there's been no rebellion, or even questioning of what we're asking them to do. The big test will be visible physical change. The sleeping pills are working just as we were told, making them very receptive to the subliminals. We're putting out programs on a lot of fronts discouraging curiosity, encouraging acceptance, learning and naturalization, and trying to bring out their feminine sides. When can we offer them cosmetic surgery? It's probably not when, but how you should offer it. As long as it's acceptable to them, they won't worry. Implants? You're going to have to wait until femininity kicks in. Jack came over with the idea. "Look, guys, you're definitely the best we could get, but we're offering to make you better. Physical perfection is the way ahead in this game, so if you want anything done, we've got the crew to do it. It's not free. We reckon improved looks is improved earnings, so you sign over to us 10% of future earnings if you take up our offer." Based on some statistical figures, he had a list for all of us of recommended alterations. I was a little worried about surgery, but anything for better looks. I signed up for the works: nose job, jaw shaping, tightening, chemical peel, at all 10% of future earnings was what we called a Cassandra contract. Sure, you could predict you would make money, but no one would believe you. I was happy to get major cosmetic surgery for free. I just wasn't banking on the way I would end up looking. Thing was, I didn't find out for a long while after the surgery due to the bandaging. We were deep into Terry's training, almost permanently in skirts, when the bruises healed and the bandages finally came off. With my hair down to my shoulders and my bust padded under the blouse, I could have mistaken myself for a woman. I was fascinated by the new face. It was incredibly good-looking. Charlotte was going to be so surprised when I got back to her. "Can we get their implants done now, Brandon?" "Look at them, Jack. You know better than I that they couldn't care what's going on. They haven't even noticed the bust development from Anipa's shots and pills. That said, be careful, we don't know what could happen if they break through their conditioning. Try reinforcing the temporary angle." Good call. Catherine was training us on the sprung wooden floor, which was dotted by the imprints of our heels. We were training on stilettos to improve balance and fine muscle control. She was teaching us that throws were about technique, not strength. Less muscle, more concentration. I was constantly having to flick the hair out of my eyes to see Jason, Mike and Bluey come at me, but they were so light I could throw them with ease. I have to admit that they were really coming to look like women in their tight leotards and training pants. All over waxing hadn't been fun for any of us, but not having to shave was a wonderful experience. Guys, the budget financing is almost in. We reckon shooting could begin in a short time. I put my hands on my knees for a breather, and felt a bit odd to have my chest flop down. I had been noticing that recently. Surely muscle was tighter than that. Anyway, like I said, we're going for complete realism in the first few scenes. I thought prostheses would be fine, but the producers have vetoed that because of the close-ups. Anipa is going to fit you with removable implants. Once again, we'd like you to get used to these things before shooting, so we're going to go right ahead. Any questions? I didn't think so. Hoffman used to run 4 Marathon Man, De Niro put on 40 pounds for a Raging Bull. I was actually looking forward to testing out a pair of my own tits. Something changed the day after our surgery. We all looked at each other and realized that we were different. We spoke about it and realized that we all felt the same, like ourselves, but there was no denying the physical difference. Each thought that the others looked like women. It wasn't scary. In fact, it was quite a relaxing thought to realize that we were actually going to bring this off. Mark, the slimmest of us all, looked like a fashion model, with his straight black hair and ideal, teardrop tits. Bluey had the look of a PT instructor, mostly those piercing blue eyes exhibiting intelligence and control, with his close blonde hair and smooth shape playing second fiddle. Jason's green eyes and shorter blonde hair made him look a little childish, and small, springy tits belied his impressive strength. I was the glamour, or as Jason put it, the bimbo. My dark blonde, curling hair had been lightened, and my big eyes and button nose set all too cutely above natural big lips and unnaturally large boobs. Jason's comment almost ended with me wrenching his head off his shoulders, but to be honest, I was upset because he had hit too close to home. I did look like a bimbo, and I really didn't want to. The good news was that all of this served a purpose. We were all given roles, and told to practice. I was bitter, Jason was Yanni, Bluey was Blue, quite simple, and Mark was Malice. Some of us had to train harder than others in the physical stuff to get around our new additions, but it all came together really quickly. Training in a leotard, it soon became obvious that only one area of my body, and of the others, detracted from the perfect curves. We're really bombing them on the self-image side now, Jack. They look like women. They act like women. Even if they don't want to be women, they do want to look perfect. What should I say to them, Brandon? I don't think you'll need to say anything. Just keep them in figure-hugging clothes and in front of mirrors. I slipped on the pink catsuit that was fast becoming my trademark. The others loved me in it, and Terry wanted me to perform in it. I looked in the mirror at my slim, curvy body. The big hips, wasp waist and large, tight bust made me look like a cartoon superhero or heroine. But the lump between my legs just didn't fit the image. Malice came up behind me and slipped her arms around me. It just doesn't fit, does it? What do you mean? The bulge, the protuberance, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't fit. We've worked hard to get everything perfect, to perform and stun the world. We look the part, except for that. In the mirror I could see her fingers pointing at my crotch. Yes, I sighed, except for that. Anipa has agreed to put mine inside me. What do you mean? I was intrigued. He's going to invert it, placing it in a hole he'll create behind it. It'll still be there, but perfectly disguised. What about, the balls? Oh, they're going to have to be removed and stored so that the scrotum can be used to create the lips, making it look just like a vagina. I'm going to fool everyone completely. Wow, I said, I wonder what my girlfriend will think when I show her. The rights have been serialized already, an excited Jack told us, and we're only just starting shooting. We'll make the most of your efforts and shoot as many scenes as we can in your present characters over the next couple of weeks. Remember, you're live in front of the studio audience. I was so excited. 3 months on retainer and now the show was beginning in earnest. I looked up at the guy beside me. Curtains was 6'7" and about 22 stone of bone and muscle. All I had to do was escort him out to the ring. Only he was going to pinch my ass as I left the ring. That would infuriate Iron Man Jim Sheedy, who was supposed to be my boyfriend, and the two would fight ending with Jim carrying off the prize me. I just had to act like I was all over him, like any woman would with the best guy in a fight. Oh, and I had to show off my tits, because the cameras would be there to promote the series of which I was the main attraction. Me and the Iron Man Jim. The huge audience loved every minute. I hammed it up completely with foot stamping, hands on hips, and plenty of hair-waving attitude. When Iron Man Jim finally floored curtains after the epic bout, I got in the ring and body slammed him. Jim held my hands up and I flexed the top biceps that I was proud of. He then swept me off my feet and carried me out of the arena to where Jack was waiting. That was amazing, Jim, bitter. He was smiling buckets. Jim, can you wait for me in my office? We'll discuss the development and next week's show. Bitter, you're done for now, but I need to see you and Malice once she's off stage. I stayed in the wings watching Malice on the screen. She was supposed to be presenting a tag match, but one of the teams was just one guy who was getting riled by the others. She volunteered to join him and gave a great account of herself. She rolled out of the arena damp with perspiration, with her partner, a huge black bodybuilder known as Jackson 5. Malice, bitter, said Jack, joining us, you two stole the show. Audience approval for your characters is phenomenal. We're piloting the scenes with our backers, and we haven't used Yanni and Blue yet. You're going to have to stay in character over the next couple of weeks, and the script is probably going to get altered around you, so keep practicing. We're bombing them with naturalization programming. Their old lives will become hazy as they fall more and more into character. Your job, Jack, and this is vital, is to immerse them in character. They need life stories, old friends, photos of their parents, names and numbers. They'll flesh out the details from their own memories, but the hooks will gradually change. What about press digging into their old lives? Not for me to worry about, sorry. You've got contacts, haven't you? Jack. Mr. Hawkins. Jack, I'm very impressed. Viewing figures of 100,000 for the first show was good enough, but 250,000 in the second week is phenomenal for a minor sport. And now the press is really starting to pick up. This will be shifted to a prime time slot if ratings grow any more. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Those girls! You taunted your viewing public by not showing Miss Sweet this week. Bitter will be back on next week kicking off her rivalry with Blue over Iron Man Jin Sheedy. Wonderful, I can't wait. When can I meet these girls? You know you can come down anytime, Mr. Hawkins. What can I give you to keep this rolling, Jack? Anything, what do you need? Well, actually, I do have a favor to ask. It's about the girls. We'd been completely swept up in the rush. Somehow the characters had become bigger than we and we were living their lives. I struggled to think back to how I'd got here, but everything was becoming hazy as the demands on our time became enormous. Jack had tried to protect us from the press and fans, but the invasion couldn't be held off for long. We were heavily coached in how to react to questions and how to maintain persona for the sake of the show. The public didn't really want to know about our private lives, but they wanted to see Malice sneer, Yanni pout, Blue smile and wink, and me acting dizzy and lost. Good morning, and welcome back to the breakfast show. I'm Jack Fry. And I'm Jill Van Den Court. This morning we've had to employ a cleaner on set to mop up the slobber from the guys' mouths. Why? Because sitting on the sofa with us is BWF's very own ringside sensation, Bittersweet. Dave, roll your tongue up off the floor, mate. Sorry about that, viewers. Camera moves across to show the giggling Bitter. Bitter, one of your school teachers recently described you as a very demure girl. What happened? I'm still demure, aren't I? Body slamming curtains, kicking Ben Brady in the face and groin, the list goes on. Can you really lift twice your own body weight? Do I look that heavy? Lord, no, but you do look like you can take care of yourself. Well, I did lift Shane off the mat in a bear hug, and I think he's around 24 stone, so yeah. That's Shane Girder Douglas, ladies and gentlemen. So, whatever possessed you to take up wrestling? I didn't do too well at school. I didn't have many options. You left at 16? Yeah. I took up with a guy who introduced me to weight training. I loved it. And you never looked back. It might be a stereotype, but most girls with your looks would have worked with those. Perhaps gone into modeling? Thanks, but I'm not really that good looking. There's 500,000 viewers of your new midweek show that might tend to disagree. I know Dave would, wouldn't you? Big nod from the sound man. So what's next for you? The show's growing. Some of the WWF guys are coming over for another Rumble. Is it true that Tori wants a piece of you? We don't let out the fight schedules until they are finalized, and I've got some issues to sort out with Blue before I deal with anyone else. Ah, yes. Let's take a quick look now at one of the issues. Screen shows an upset Bitter running back to Iron Man Jim's dressing room after being thrown out of the ring by curtains. She opens the door to find Blue and Jim kissing and hugging. Jim looks up in surprise. Bitter, he says. It's not what you think. Cut back to smiling Jack Fry. How are you planning to deal with the situation? I've challenged Blue to meet me on the mat for her championship belt. But she wants Malice and Jackson's tag belt, and is getting Iron Man Jim to partner her for it, and you've got first rights to challenge for that but no partner anymore. I know, it's complicated, isn't it? Well, I guess so, Bitter. But these complications are really what keeps the show running so well, aren't they? Yeah. I just let Jack keep track of them all. That's Jack Williams, owner of the BWF Consortium. I don't know if he's kept track of this one, though. We've had an interesting call while we've been talking. Apparently this young woman claims to be an ex-girlfriend. Camera shows Bitter looking confused, but smiling. Do you recognize the name Charlotte Street? Camera shows a slight tensing on Bitter's face before her brow furrows. She looks around nervously. I take it you do recognize the name. Charlotte, are you there? There is silence on set for a moment. Jack Fry holds his earpiece to his ear. Ladies and gentlemen, we appear to have lost Charlotte. We'll try to get this intriguing young woman back online, but for now we'll take a commercial break. Stay tuned. Mr. Hawkins. Jack. What happened? We missed something, Jack. You didn't really give me that much time to sort something out. Anyway, we've given the producer instructions and we're tracking down the call now. You sort out Miss Sweet. Take her off if you think it necessary. I'll tell the show they can have Malice McMahon next week. Just a moment, Jack. Oh, okay. Listen, Jack, the story is that Charlotte Street is an ex-wrestler who went to prison for crippling one of Bitter's friends. She's out and Blue tracked her down. You come up with the details. But how are you going to come up with Charlotte Street? Let me worry about that. I took Jack's hand as he came to take me out of the studio. Jack Fry planted a kiss on my cheek as I left and thanked me for coming in. Jill Van Den Court was otherwise occupied. My Jack relayed to the other some story about Charlotte being an old enemy recently released from prison. He left the details up to the crew to find out. They all thought it was a stunt and were only too happy to play along. Jack, I asked, as we left. Where is Charlotte? Can I see her? Bitter, he held both my hands and looked at me. I can't answer that question. You know the set is closed until we complete this project. I know. I looked down. Please? I implored him, begging with my eyes. Something inside him melted. We're both going to get into very big trouble for this. Charlotte was brought to my studio in the warehouse. She recognized me immediately. Kevin! What have they done to you? Charlotte. We hugged, and the security guards closed the door behind them. They made me forget about you, and they even made me forget about me. I still don't know who I am exactly. Everything is so confused. Is there anything I can do to help? I spent days thinking about it. I came to a decision. I can't change back, but I can go forward. I need help to come to terms with what I've become, though. I really need a friend who understands me. Christ, Kevin, of course I'll help you. But you'll understand if I mean just friends, won't you? I don't really see Bittersweet in the same light as I saw you. Of course, Charlotte, though I still see you in the same light. I've got an incredible future here, and I want you share in it. But I don't want you to myself. You're free, as long as you promise to help me, and that means backing my story up, no matter how absurd it is destined to become. Sure. Bitter. She smiled. I'll always be here if you need me, Bitter. Thank you, Charlotte. It means more than you will know. She left my room and Jack came out from behind a screen. Well done, Bitter. We still have some work to do on the storyline, but you've saved your old girlfriend a lot of grief. You look sad? I asked her to lie for me. No, you asked her to tell a story, and if she didn't agree. He left it hanging. Come on, let me show you something to cheer you up. It's called a gold card. Bitter. I should have guessed. Who else would call at 2 in the morning? All the rest of your friends, Charlotte? Who is it, Charlie? Came a man's voice from the stairs as he walked down and arrived in the hall. Charlotte pulled me in. Come and meet Saul. Saul, this is Bittersweet. He spat out in shock. Now close the mouth, dear. Charlotte gently rebuked him. You can go back to bed if you're not going to be able to engage your brain in normal conversation. I'll get the coffee. He replied. We went to the kitchen to sit down. Nice table, I remarked, noticing the natural shade solid pine 8-seater that I probably would have had trouble moving. You have very good taste in furniture for a muscle-bound bimbo. Ow, you bitch. I squealed. Charlotte laughed and squeezed my hand. I laughed with her and realized that Jack must have sent the table over. He turned out to be a good guy after all. Well, I had thrown him down a flight of stairs and then fucked him senseless to make up for it. He hadn't known whether he was coming or going. So, what is it this time? Does there have to be a reason? I squirmed. No, Charlotte sighed, but there usually is nowadays. And anyway, there'd better be a good one to get me out of a deep sleep. She winked at Saul, who quickly hid his face. You'll read about it tomorrow, I suppose. I sighed. Dwayne Hamilton isn't going to be playing for the Gunners on Monday evening unless they can fix his nose up before then. You hit him? He bought me a drink. We chatted. We went to dance. We started kissing. It was really nice. I turned round to a tap on my shoulder and his girlfriend slapped me. When I finally understood why she was screaming at me and he at her, I floored him. He wasn't up before I left. Serves the bastard right. I know, but the last time this happened it didn't come out that way in the papers. Can I stay here the day? Do you mind having your perfect woman sleeping in the guest room, Saul? She asked as he brought over the coffees. He really thought I was just a normal girl. She said to me, conspiratorially. As long as you don't mind me joining her in there. He smiled. He was waking up. Ooh, men, pouted Charlotte. You will beat him up if he lays a hand on you, won't you, Bitter? Of course I will, honey, I replied with a grin. Either that or I'll tie his hands to the bed frame. Saul, awake or not, was going to be no match for us girls together. We chatted for an hour, catching up on news and gossip. Saul turned out to be a marketing manager for a city firm. He was lively, intelligent, and fun. Charlotte seemed very happy with him. Also, he was good-looking and earning a large amount. As with Charlotte's previous boyfriends, I felt a pang of jealousy. The usual thought ran through my head: if I couldn't sleep with her, I could sleep with him. The usual logic followed: he could then destroy my career, Charlotte would be destroyed, therefore I would be destroyed twice. I forced the thoughts from my mind. We all finished our joking, began yawning, and headed to bed. Jack called the next day, and arranged to pick me up in the evening for the show. Saul brought in the newspapers and my name and face was plastered all over them. This time, the reporting was quite balanced. Some rags wanted to portray me as a whore, but some actually realized that I was defending another woman. Charlotte kept me from getting upset by the lies. Saul was also a rock. Perhaps this was it, he was the one, and it was time to let Charlotte go. Jack arrived to pick me up. He was a nice guy, well, since I found out who I really was. Charlotte greeted him with a hug, still not knowing his part in this story. Saul was still coming down from his excitement. I wish I could tell the guys about this. But how would you explain being beaten up by a woman? Asked Charlotte, sweetly. This'll all die down. He said to me. You're a good person, and an example to women everywhere. I smiled at him. One day, I might let you know what that means to me. I hugged Charlotte tightly, and went back to my fantastic, bittersweet life.